What's going on, guys? It's Richard Dini here. I just took a shower and today we're gonna cover round 3 of Open Figueira de Foz, Sabir Ali. This round was played in the morning and I got paired up against another young prodigy, this time from Portugal, Maxime Farima, 2008 elo rated player, and I knew that he was having a massive year with really good results. So I knew that it was going to be a very difficult game. Also, morning rounds, I hate them, but yeah, I had to find a way to to bounce back from that stalemate the day prior, which was hard to process. But let's see how I handle this game. I had the white pieces, my opponent had the black pieces, and I started with c4. I went again for the English. My opponent went e5, I went g3, knight c6, bishop g2, and g6 here. I just want to point out that I didn't really prepare anything specifically for my opponent. I decided to, go for it with one c4, just like the first round of the tournament. So, okay, we get this e5 variation with g6, now knight c3, bishop g2, bishop g7, excuse me, e3, knight e7, knight e2, d6, rook b1. Okay, let's pause here. So I didn't really know any theory about these systems. I just decided to go for this setup to push d4 and put the knight on e2 and c3. And here I didn't know what to do exactly. I could have castled, but I was kind of worried about some quick h5s here, although this rarely works like this. He's not just gonna go h4, h5 or h4 and mate you. So yeah, you have time to strike in the center, but I decided to make this move rook b1 just like in the first game. I feel like it's always a useful move to put the rook here when the bishop is eyeing this diagonal and just prepare just play b4, or if my opponent plays a5, prepare it with a3. And I'm never worried. I wasn't really worried about this bishop f5 move because I always can play d3. I don't have to go d4 every time I put the knight on e2 and the pawn on e3. So yeah, I didn't really know exactly what was the best approach here. And yeah, I didn't want to strike with d4 immediately because sometimes in these positions, like now bishop g4 is annoying. Now bishop g4 is annoying because this knight is pinned and it's not so clear. This pawn is a target and knight f5 can come in the future. So yeah, you want to wait with d4 and not do it too soon. So yeah, I played rook b1, normal move, I guess. My opponent played bishop e6, attacking the pawn on c4. I played knight d5 here. Yeah, I didn't want to defend passively with b3 or d3. I immediately took the opportunity to play knight d5, which is a good move. My opponent can't capture with the knight because he gets forked, and he probably doesn't want to take with the bishop, so it's a nice move to put the knight here on d5, very thematic. Queen d7, okay, developing the queen. I played b4. I think it's a good move. You play rook b1 to expand on the queen side, and this is always a plan in these positions, just like in the Sicilian for black. Now my opponent played knight d8, and of course he wants to play c6 and force me to make a decision with this knight, which is probably just to take. And here I had some options. The best move would be b5, which is also very thematic in this position to play against c6. Here, my opponent can go c6, but it's not really a good version. After takes here, I can take here, and even if my opponent takes here on c6, like his queen side is a bit weak and this pawn is backwards, so I'm doing quite well here. Ideas of bishop a3 in the future and pressure against this backward pawn. So yeah, but here, I didn't play b5. I took on e7, which is not the end of the world. It's still fine, but it goes a little bit against the ideas in the position. Now my opponent didn't have to weaken the d6 square and play c6, so maybe this gave him some extra time. But yeah, it was a slight inaccuracy, I think. Here I played queen c2, developing the queen and protecting c4, he castled, I castled now, and he played queen d7. I played bishop b2, developing my last minor piece, and here he played bishop h3 to trade the light square bishops, which makes a lot of sense. You know, my light square bishop is a very strong piece along this diagonal, so he wants to trade it. And here I just don't care about the bishop being on h3. I just want to strike in the center with d4, which is a nice move. Now I have some nice pawns here fighting for space. Here my pawn took on g2, I took back with the king, and he played f6, which was a move that surprised me. I wasn't expecting f6. I don't know, it feels weird to block this bishop like this. But my opponent had a plan in mind, which I didn't really understand. And here I make the first, like, I would say, mistake in the game, which I played d5, which is a very counterintuitive move, a very bad, and my opponent actually had a chance here to punish me for closing the center. Here the problem with d5 is the obvious, I mean, at least for me now, the obvious f5. And the thing is that when you're attacking in a flank, for example in the king's Indian, you want to attack white's king side when the center is closed. So normally, like, black kind of tries either to close the center himself, or tries or waits for white to push like d5 in some variations to start attacking on the king side, and black tries to white tries to attack on the queen side. And honestly, I'm gonna be totally honest with you, because I don't have anything to hide, but this type of positions of the king's Indian styles with f5 and my opponent attacking my king, I have to play on the queen side, these are the worst positions for me. I hate playing against like king's Indian setups. It's really like something that I really have to work on to just get comfortable, but I always like feel uncomfortable in these positions, getting my king getting attacked, and meanwhile I just have to play on the queen side where there's no king to capture, you know. But yeah, here d5 it's like a bad move generally. It's not the end of the world, but I think I view it as a very big mistake in terms of understanding the position. You never want to close the center because it makes black's life way easier. Here I could just play a waiting move like rook fd1, and it's always hard for my opponent now to play f5 because I can always take on e5. Imagine I play a4, gaining space on the queen side. Here, if my opponent goes f5, I can still take here, and if takes, I can put a rook on d1, and the same story. Like, black is not really prepared to start attacking when the center is not fixed and closed. Now, his king can actually come under pressure very fast with moves like c5, queen b3 check, and just infiltrating on the d file that I control now. So, yeah. And it's not very clear how my opponent is going to attack this f4 square because of my setup is very well controlled. But okay, with that aside, I played d5 and my opponent played knight f7, which I guess was his main idea with f6, that I now realize that he wants to transfer the knight to the king side, which is actually very creative, but he kind of missed the opportunity to play f5. Now it gives me time to play e4, he plays c6, so I guess my opponent also wasn't making that good moves. He wasn't making good moves. I don't think c6 is good at all. Yeah, I think we both just didn't really understand the position correctly, because I don't know, c6 kind of feels like it's helping me. But I actually miss the opportunity to just take on c6, and like now my pawn takes with the b pawn. Okay, this pawn might be weak, I can always play a3, but like this pawn now is backward pawn, it's very weak, so I can target it. So yeah, I also misplayed here. I played rook fd1 because I wasn't sure of what to do in the center. I didn't want to touch anything, but yeah, just simple d takes on c6 will give me a pleasant position. But okay, I missed it. I just played rook fd1. Now my opponent plays knight g5 and I play knight g1 to protect these squares. And my pawn now goes f5. And here, okay, I'm starting to get nervous because we we get to the positions that I don't like, these King's Indian positions. But you know, my coach once told me in a lesson that I was like explaining to him that I don't like these positions. I never know what to do when black starts attacking and plays f5. And he just told me a general rule that when you don't have anything concrete, or you're not sure of what to do in these types of positions, you should when an opponent plays f5, you should always take on f5, you know. So that's what I did. I just took on f5, just like my coach said. And here my opponent takes with rook, which is weird to me as well. I always see people taking with the pawn, but I guess it's equally strong here. Rook takes on f5, and now I play h4. I wanted to kick the knight away from that position, but here actually I think my opponent had a move that he could win on the spot with this move. Actually, I think it would be like super hard to face, and you put me in big trouble here. Pause the video if you want to actually find the move. And the move from my opponent, which actually I think would have, like, I don't know about winning the game, but it would put a lot of pressure on me, would be rook f8, attacking on f2 and threatening to win the queen, and the knight is hanging. And it's not so simple. I can't play knight h3 because that square is kind of covered in this x-ray way. And here actually the computer wants me to take on g5 and sacrifice the queen here. I don't know if I would have done this. It looks, I mean, I'm up material, but it just, I don't know, it's always hard to give up the queen like that. But here, you know, the simple like rook d2 here and knight f3, and like things start to get really hard for me. Let's just say this variation, for example, and I feel like I'm getting smashed here, and it's horrible. So yeah, my opponent actually missed this rook f8 move, which I think the engine points out that it's the best move. But yeah, he did what I expected, which he retreated the knight to f7. And here I have an opportunity to just play knight h3 and just solidify f2 and start my operations on the queen side. But I play this move bishop c1, which I don't know, it's kind of weird, but it makes some sense. If I want to play on the queen side, I probably prefer my bishop on e3 than on b2, but okay. He took on d5, which is, it's just a mistake. Here again I missed an opportunity to be better. With rook takes on d5, this would be extremely good because my rook now is active. I'm putting pressure on this backward pawn, like I said before, and I'm not worried about these pawns being hanging by the moment. It's not so easy for him to attack them, and I can easily protect him. So yeah, I did the worst capture. And now with the pawn on d5, now this pawn can become a weakness, and this d6 backward pawn, now it's super fine. So yeah, this game was very poorly played by both of us, I think. Yeah, we made some weird moves, honestly. Rook c8 makes sense, attacking the queen. I move the queen to e2. He plays rook c to f8. Here I play rook b3. I think this is a nice move, just trying to defend laterally, and maybe I can trade one pair of rooks. And yeah, I like this move, rook b3. He plays rook e8. I don't know what he's doing with the rooks. I guess here we were starting to get low on the clock because we were spending a lot of time in the middle game, and yeah, the moves dropped in quality a lot. Now I played queen e4, which again doesn't make anything at all. He's not really threatening to play e4 at the moment. If I play knight h3 and he plays like e4, I think this is good for me because I get either my knight to f4 or the bishop to f4, and I'm doing really good. He plays rook back to c8, so I guess he's just also just making moves to not flag. A bit like me, honestly. I play bishop e3, at least I develop the bishop to the square that I wanted originally. He plays bishop h6, I play knight h3, he takes on e3, I take back on e3, he plays rook back to f8. Like, I guess we have no idea what we are doing. Here I play rook d2. Again, I don't think this move is necessary. This pawn is already well protected. I could just seize the initiative here with something like rook c1, and now I can try to occupy the only open file here. And two, he plays queen b5. We were down to like 5 minutes each here for sure, and we are on move 30, so we don't have the extra 30 minutes until move 40. Here I play queen e2. Just if I trade queens, I will be very happy here because the position will clarify, and I guess I'll have just a clear advantage. He doesn't trade the queen, moves back. I move back to e3, almost like offering a repetition if he wants to go back to b5. Rook c8, I play rook c3, I trade a pair of rooks. Each piece I trade here, I'm happy because the position becomes simpler to play. And now he plays queen b5. And here I played a3. I guess on a3 I offered a draw, and he accepted. I don't remember offering a draw, but this was already a year ago, so I don't remember all the details. But this was the last move, a3, and probably because this was my last move, I offered the draw and he accepted it. And yeah, I guess here I'm just better, but it's not clear at all when you have like 3 minutes, 2 minutes, and you're playing against a kid and you are unsure. Yeah, here if we take a look at this position, like my pieces are more coordinated than his pieces, and I guess that I have the open file here for my pieces. I can infiltrate them in a new perspective. But okay, still a good result to draw a higher rated opponent. Yeah, we keep going in this tournament. So far, going well. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next episode. Bye bye.